Welcome, everybody, to Big League Careers. I'm your host, Matt Yaloff, and today we're very happy to have Rich Rice,
the Vice President of Media Relations for the Texas Rangers.
Welcome to the show, and there's a ton of young folks out there who want to know what it is that you do on a daily basis. Give us a thumbnail.
Well, basically, our department, it's whatever we can do to make it an easy experience for the media to cover our team on a daily basis. We cover home games and road games in our department and try to provide statistics, information, all kinds of materials that will make a job easy for a broadcaster or a beat writer who's coming out to cover our game or do a story on one of our players or, manager. And things like that. We set the schedule for when the manager is going to talk before a game, when the clubhouse will be open to media so that they can interview players and get the information they need. So basically, anything we can do to help the media and kind of manage the relationship between the media and our players.
I think it's safe to say the conduit between the players on the Rangers and the media. Is that an accurate description?
Oh, I think that's a great way to put it. I've always viewed it, whether it's our front office, our manager and coaching staff, or our players, we're just trying to, manage the relationships between, those groups and the media, and try to keep things running, running smoothly, and just try to keep those relationships as strong as possible, in good working order.
It's a small industry. I always say this. It seems huge, but when you get into baseball at this level, you run into people. So my question is, going backwards, what were you doing prior to this?
Even before college, I had the good fortune to get a job as a bat boy clubhouse attendant for the Kansas City Royals when I was 16 years old. I saw early that my future in baseball was not as a player, so that was pretty clear. So had the good fortune to start working in baseball in the clubhouse, and obviously a great experience as a kid, and to be able to do it for 5 years, meet several people in the game, kind of understand how things work, and seeing the media operation and how the PR people worked in the clubhouse, it kind of lit a fire for me to pursue that for a career. So did that, was able to work for my athletic department at my college and undergrad, did internships at the National Baseball Hall of Fame and the Chicago Cubs long ago, but kind of helped me get the job with the Rangers when I was hired in 2001.
What did you need as a young person in terms of skill set to make your way up and advance all the way to where you are now?
The things that helped me, I definitely had a familiarity with the game, knew the history, knew several of the players and kind of the stories in the game. And, obviously my time in the clubhouse helped with that. But, one of the main things I feel like you need in this profession is the ability, willingness to work hard. And I do feel like that's one thing that's gotten me a long way. Baseball's an everyday grind, for a majority of the year. And, you've got to be willing to put the work in if you want to have success. So, and just having a good temperament, being the ability to get along with people, because it is a long grind. You spend a lot of hours together, a long homestand, it can be pretty draining, but obviously we get in this profession because we love it, and there's always a game at the end of the day, so you've got to have a love of the game. But I think you've got to work hard and get along with your coworkers and the media.
You and I had a conversation off camera before this, and you mentioned temperament, and I said to you, well, you can't be one of the up and down. You can't do this if you're going to do your job. It's got to be more of a flat line. Can you kind of talk more about that and why that is?
It's funny, you hear players, it sounds like a standard line. I don't want to get too high or too low. You don't want to get too high when you're doing well and too low when things are going bad. But I do think that's the way you have to be, when you work in the game also, because it just doesn't pay to be emotional, especially in our job when we're dealing with potential issues, or who knows what kind of off the field disputes or stories might be going on, and you've got to keep a level head when you're dealing with people, whether it's players or the media.
You also don't want to be a fly on the wall who is not able to be communicated with. You have to find the balance, right? You got to be there, and you got to have some oomph, but at the same time have control.
For sure. It's a fine line, but you want to be able to talk to people and interact. Now, I'm always mindful that the players are trying to prepare for a game, or trying to get home and get their rest. So you always want to be considerate of their time, and that's always paramount, is to consider the player in the equation. But you also want to take time when there are opportunities to develop a relationship, and at least have some kind of working back and forth where you can talk to them about various media requests or different things that are going on in the clubhouse or in the news, and the same with the media. You have to be able to know your beat writers and your broadcasters, and where they're coming from, and things they might want going into an interview, or if we have some kind of news that day, what they're going to want. So it definitely, you have to be able to communicate with all parties, but at the same time not overdoing it. Just kind of stay in your lane.
You got different personalities too, because any company, any job, whatever it is, you're not robots. You got one player who's outgoing. You got one guy who says, you know what? If I don't have to do an interview, I don't want to do an interview. I mean, that's the reality of it. They're people and they're different. So how do you manage that? Because that's a skill that you would need in any line of work, is how to deal with different personalities.
Right, and you don't want to be, phony about it, but sometimes some guys it takes a little more work, and you have to be a little more intentional about finding the inside joke, or kind of the common ground, something that you can have a back and forth about, so that when you do come to them with a media request, it's not the first time you've talked to them in a month. But yeah, you're not going to be best friends with everybody. You're not going to get along, the best with all of them, but you try to be respectful about their time, and handle the PR business the way we should. And for most people it works out in the end. So some are definitely a lot harder than others, but just understanding that they're all going to be different, just like in life, and try to do the best you can with it.
If I'm in high school, as my son is, and he's an avid baseball fan, or if I'm in college, and I say to you, Rich, what should I major in? I love that. What should I major in? Is there a right and wrong answer to that?
I really don't think so. I've met many people in life who have ended up in sports with degrees that you would never think would be possible for them to go that route. But I definitely think it's more about experience than what you do in school. If you do go to a respected sports administration program, or a program, a college program that has a focus on sports, I do think that can be a benefit. You might have more classes that are taught by people who are in the industry, and that kind of thing. But as far as what kind of degree you do, I wouldn't think that would have a big impact on where you end up in the industry. It's more about what kind of experience you get, the contacts you make, and what you pursue once you're out of school.
You have a graduate degree as well, correct?
Correct. I went to Ohio University. It's the oldest sports administration program in the country. And, I had a mentor who had gone through that program, spoke highly of it. I saw it as a good opportunity to kind of, build my resume as I was trying to get into the baseball PR industry. And it ended up working out for me. And a lot of my classmates from there ended up in all areas of the sports realm in their careers. But I definitely enjoyed it. It worked for me. So somebody might not have to go do that in order to land a job, but it worked for me. And and I would recommend it if you have the opportunity.
Practical advice for young folks who don't have a family connection. They don't have a friend in the industry. They don't have a cousin whose uncle owns the blah, blah, blah. Practical advice. What is it? How do you get experience so that if the Rangers need an entry-level person, they say, oh, I like what I see.
You definitely want to pursue a PR internship with a major league team. That's the number one thing you want to pursue. And now, that might not happen right when you get out of school, but there are a lot of other things you can do to gain experience in the sports world. I worked for a sports information department in college. I worked softball games, volleyball games. I worked all kinds of things that didn't really have much, correlation to working in baseball PR. But you want to get as much experience as you can, prove yourself as much as you can, and believe me, in the sports industry today, if you're willing to work hard and really grind to get that role, somebody will notice you, and you'll get that opportunity.
Tell the people how competitive it is to not only succeed, but advance in your field.
Right. Well, I would say, I've talked about that with other people in the industry, and just over the years, there's 30 major league teams. So, there's really 30 jobs as, the head of the communications department. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of different aspects in an organization. We've got broadcasting and photography, there are a lot of different areas. But as far as the communications itself, there's 30 jobs. So it's definitely a difficult climb a lot of times. It takes a lot of luck, and commitment. But if you're willing to put in the time, especially these days, anybody who wants to get into PR, give me a call, because there are a lot of people that would like to get into baseball operations and something a little more glamorous and something with a little more notoriety. So if you're willing to work hard and you want to chase PR, there will be opportunities for you.
Quick question, and you give me a quick answer. The best part of your job is?
The game. Every night when the game starts, I still love the game. I love watching it. Love enjoying it with my son. So you never know what you're going to see on a given night, and I enjoy that every night.
What's one thing for people to avoid doing so they don't sabotage their career before it even begins?
Don't let the moment get to you. In our line of work, there are going to be several times where you're stressed out, and you might be ready to blow or say something that you're going to regret. And if you can just fight to maintain a level head in those moments and not burn anything for down the road, that's one thing I would recommend.
Rich Rice, VP of Media Relations for the Rangers. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Matt. And it's great to see you and to see you back on the network. So hope to catch up again in person soon.